Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. DeShaun Foster, this UCLA program, quietly gone on an absolute heater on the recruiting trail as late Saturday night they land another massive commitment from one of the top quarterbacks in the 2025 class, Madden Iamaleava. And Dill, I think I got that name right. I practiced it multiple times before we went live. And for the college football fans that follow the recruiting trail, that last name should be awfully familiar. Obviously, his older brother, a five-star quarterback in the 2023 class. And Dill, I want to first start with kind of the energy that we're seeing surround this UCLA program, right? Whether it's in the transfer portal, whether it's in the high school recruiting classes, you're seeing these young athletes want to go check out UCLA. And there were a lot of question marks to be had about the DeShaun Foster hire, right? He had never been a head coach. He had never been a coordinator at the Power 5 level. But the one thing that, we were fired up about, and I think what UCLA, quite frankly, needed was some energy around this program. And DeShaun Foster certainly brings that. You talk about charisma. When you compare Chip Kelly to DeShaun Foster, it's not even close. I think he's connecting with these high school athletes. And we talk about this all the time. The sport of college football, it starts with the talent acquisition game. You need coaches that can attract young talent. It seems like DeShaun Foster is showing that he's going to be able to do that at UCLA, cleaning up in the state of California, want to get into Madden, talk about what he brings to this UCLA program. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And Dill, this UCLA program, it's been really fun to talk about over the last couple of months. Obviously, the coaching change, you see them really getting some traction on the recruiting trail. You guys have shown a ton of support. It's going to be a fun summer for this program. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And Dill, I'll give you the tee box here. You were about as high on DeShaun Foster as just about anybody with that coaching hire. I'll give you the tee box, and let's start with just the energy that DeShaun Foster is bringing to this program.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they needed to make UCLA fun and cool again, where it wasn't under Chip Kelly, where it was like, again, he has his way of doing things. I think some guys respond to it well, some guys don't. But in this world of college football, I just think you need more excitement. You need to be more engaged with the fans. It needs to be more exciting. And it never was with Chip Kelly. You're starting to see DeShaun Foster do it on the recruiting trail, doing it a little harder, being a little bit more aggressive. You see him hosting more exciting visits that are, again, more in tune with what younger guys want to do. And you see guys responding, coming to the campus, making visits. All of that, I think, is what they needed to do. I think DeShaun Foster's doing it, and we'll see how it works. But at least they're doing what they need to do to be competitive.
And you make no mistake about it, that's how UCLA should look on the recruiting trail. Like, this should be a destination spot for a lot of top athletes, especially in the state of California, to come and play their college football. And again, you look at Chip Kelly, and I know UCLA fans, they feel a certain way about Chip Kelly. I'm not, quite frankly, blaming them for feeling that way. I thought it was almost a blessing in disguise for Chip Kelly to leave UCLA. One, I think he's better fit as an offensive coordinator because Chip Kelly was very vocal. He did not want to be that head coach figure, right? He just wants to coach football. Well, the modern reality of the college football landscape is when you're a head coach of a Power 5 program like UCLA, it's more than just X's and O's. You have to meet with donors. You have to meet with kids on the high school recruiting trail. DeShaun Foster, I think, is better suited to be the head coach in this modern era of college football. And
he also, he wants to go do it. I feel like there's that element of Chip Kelly kind of having done it kind of very much on the other side. And did he have that hunger to be really, really good? If he didn't want to do something, was he going to do it? Or was he kind of okay with where they were at, where moderately competitive at times, could have a down year, didn't really matter, he wasn't going to get fired? You just can't have that attitude anymore. You need to be hungry. You need to feel like Kirby Smart, where it's like it's never enough. I want to win every year, and that's just where I'm at.
I think at a certain extent, like, he just wanted to coach football. Like, I don't think he had much interest in doing that stuff off the football field. And again, the reality of college football is you have to be willing to do that if you're the head coach of a Power 5 program like UCLA. Now, let's get into Madden. This is a really interesting high school prospect where you see a lot of quarterbacks who are top 15, top 10 quarterbacks, consensus in the country, haven't played since their freshman year. mean, Madden has a little bit of a unique circumstance because he was a backup to one of the better high school quarterbacks that we've seen in the last couple of years in his older brother, Nico. His junior year was the first year that we got to see him start. You take a look at the numbers, threw for over 3,600 yards, a 63% completion percentage, Dill, averaged 18 and a half yards per completion, 43 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. What does that tell you about Madden? I mean, he is pushing the ball down the field, but he's keeping the ball out of harm's way. And that is a line that we don't see a ton of quarterbacks toe the right way, right? They're either just being recklessly aggressive with the football, turning the ball over a lot, but they're pushing the ball down the field, or just not pushing the ball down the field. You see Madden get really aggressive down the field, but not really put the football in harm's way. And you start talking about, physical traits. We're going to get into the film in just a second. This kid is absolutely dripping with not only arm talent. He makes any throw you want him to make on the football field. He's also a phenomenal athlete that can extend plays. He's very creative inside the pocket in terms of extending plays, keeping his eyes downfield. This is a guy that, one, there's a lot of raw talent here. We kind of know that. This family has been blessed with some good arms. But I think more importantly, I think he's wired the right way between the ears. And I think those are the two things that you are looking for your quarterbacks going to the college football level.
Yeah, and what really stands out to me is just that deep ball touch. And when you talk about not putting the ball in harm's way, if you can throw the ball down the field and be relatively accurate, keep it to the boundaries, not let it get caught up in the middle of the field or too far over, you can keep it out of harm's way. And I think he does do a really good job with that. He's got the big arms, so he doesn't need to float the ball too far. He's got exactly what you're kind of looking for in today's game. And I think the athleticism you kind of mentioned, it's a big piece because you kind of start to hear that's almost becoming table stakes. If you can't move at all and can't create a little bit, you just can't be as dynamic in college football as you need to be.
100%. Now you take a look at the film. You said it first, like the pushing the ball down to the deeper third. That is easily the best trait that Madden has, right? You want to play press man with one safety over top. I mean, that is from the opposite hash to the boundary, pushing it 50 yards down the field, and he drops it in an absolute bucket. That is a big-time college football throw that Madden is making as a junior. And again, he throws with some really nice touch and anticipation too. This wide receiver right here, not even looking for the ball yet. There's a little bit of separation. You have to put it in that spot where your wide receiver can make the play. That ball's out before the wide receiver even looks. Perfect back shoulder play. Dill, he can rip the football in when he needs to, but he's a guy that can layer it in, throw it with some touch as well. You see him extend plays. That's kind of what you mentioned. I mean, just really twitchy inside the pocket, can extend plays. What's he doing here? Keeping his eyes right downfield. Dill, you mentioned it. The touch that he throws with. I mean, that's a throw that he makes look extremely easy. It's not very easy to make that throw.
Yeah, and that's another thing. When he's moving around a little bit, he's really good in terms of not kind of letting his fundamentals go out the way in terms of how he throws. It doesn't like throw with 2 feet off the ground or anything crazy. He can set his feet when he's moving. He can throw it a little bit on the run as well. So again, in what you're looking for, what you expect from Eric Bieniemy and how you've seen Patrick Mahomes do it, being able to throw a little bit on the move, it's going to probably be an important part of what they do, especially frankly, as they build that offensive line back and build the rest of the team back. You need to have that ability to create, throw a little bit on the move, and he's got those athletic traits to, again, I think do a little bit more in raise a team more than just be part of it or along
these throws when he's pushing the ball down the field. The arm talent is just incredible, right? I mean, he makes these throws look effortlessly. And again, when the windows, we see a lot of those touch throws, those kind of moon balls where you're kind of just putting it into a bucket. You see him also thread it in between zone coverage as well. Like, hey, this ball needs to come out very quick. There is not a big throwing window here to fit that in. You're putting it on a line, getting it to your wide receiver early, letting him operate after the catch. This kid, and Dill, I think what you'll see for the college football fans that really care about recruiting rankings, his second year of high school football, his senior year, I don't think it's crazy to start talking about him being a top 50 national prospect once he gets second year under his belt. Again, a lot of the other quarterbacks that he's getting stacked up against have been playing since their freshman year of high school. I mean, Madden really only has 1 year of junior year football film. I mean, once he gets that senior year under his belt, if he takes another step as a starting quarterback, I look at this quarterback class and say Madden is one of the more talented quarterbacks that you see. And I thought you made another really good point, and that is Eric Bieniemy. And we talked about that being kind of an interesting hire that UCLA decided to make. One, I'm a massive fan of it because you have DeShaun Foster, who is going to be the CEO of this program, right? He's never been a coordinator. He's not bringing some mastermind offensive scheme to this program, but he's a guy that's going to be able to recruit and formulate relationships with high school prospects and donors. And you get one of the better offensive minded coaches in the sport of football in Eric Bieniemy. And I think that was a really good hire. And then you're seeing it pay off on the recruiting trail. You said it with Patrick Mahomes. The fact that Eric Bieniemy has worked extensively with Patrick Mahomes during his career, I think is going to be really attractive to some of these young quarterbacks, because who have these young quarterbacks been watching for the last 4 to 5 years at the NFL level? Who do they want to be like when they get to high school or get to college in the NFL? They want to be like Patrick Mahomes. Who better to play for than a guy that has worked extensively with Patrick Mahomes like Eric Bieniemy?
No, I mean, Bieniemy was a huge hire. Again, I'm almost surprised he took that job. Not like UCLA is not a big job, but that's coming from the NFL ranks, coming back down. You don't see it a ton, but again, when you've seen it, it's worked really, really well. You obviously, especially with the defensive coordinator side, that's been a very popular thing to do. But I think you're right. They probably wanted coordinators with a lot of experience who could run their side of the ball without much micromanagement from the coach.
And you start to kind of piece through these commitments. There's a lot to be excited about in just the last couple of weeks, right? Carson Cox, a guy that had offers from all over the country committing to UCLA. Not necessarily surprising. You want to go play for a head coach that's been a running backs coach. You look at Noah Flores, a guy that committed last week, another tight end that I'm really intrigued by. I think that prototypical matchup nightmare, 6'4", 240, can inline block, but can work the middle of the field. And then you get one of the top quarterbacks in this class committed it. We didn't see UCLA, dominate the state of California like they're doing on the recruiting trail. Not dominating, but these top kids in California are going to check out UCLA. That's probably the thing that is jumping out to me, because you look at the past, Chip Kelly just really failing to recruit the state of California, one of the most talented high school football states in the country. If you're UCLA, the recipe is to be getting a lot of homegrown talent coming to this program, and you're starting to see them do that in the 2025 class. Fired up about this one. Again, this is going to be a team that's really fun to talk about over the summer months with the recruiting trail going on. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.